I don't know who the hell this John Del Eros guy is to think it's wise to step in and try to bring up the satanic panic after all these years and say it's not real, and then follow that up by trying to plant a Christian flag in D&D. But this very much illustrates something I said right in the wake of the election, is that if the right wing wants to hold on to the Trump coalition, if we're going to call it that, then they're going to have to learn how to meter their words on a couple of subjects. And already we've seen multiple failures of that, like the H-1B1 visa crap back around Christmas. And, well, now this. Look, bringing up the satanic panic is just going to remind all the Gen Xers and older millennials about why we rejected all this bullshit back in the late 1990s and early 2000s. What, do you want everyone listening to Korn again?
Extreme TV RPG News. 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 Yeah, Extreme TV RPG News. Extreme TV RPG News. And the world's most SMD RPG. When the races of the ghost attack, BTG RPG boys are kind of attack. Extreme! News that is extreme! BTG RPG power.
The satanic panic was not only very real, it almost didn't really go away in a fashion. It just got very, very subdued and pushed down into the narrative. You know, we wouldn't refer to social justice warriors and Christians as both sides if that didn't imply that they were the same creature. Just because you guys have infiltrated the hobby, and I do recall ever since coming back to the hobby after being away from it for a decade, that it was a little weird how many openly identifying Christians there were playing games. That was not the norm when I was a kid.
At least not in the circles I ran with.
But just because there is a community of Christian gamers now, doesn't mean you get to take over the whole fucking thing. Like social justice warriors tried to do. And did. And still technically have control of. As of right now, tabletop role-playing game companies are possibly the last bastion of the left. As funny as that might be. But I have said before that they will be one of the industries that will be the last to adapt to the changing zeitgeist in this regard. Nerds are very self-conscious about being perceived as good people, regardless of the moral framework to which they derive their idea of what goodness is. And kind of edging towards the idea of it in yesterday's video about sex and degeneracy, but, you know, all this sudden talk about degeneracy in games, which is at the moment largely focused at video games, but we'll get to role-playing games eventually, and already kind of is. But it's just the first step of a whole new satanic panic. It might not be necessarily focused around Satan, but it'll be another satanic panic. It's always going to start off where there's going to be a lot of fear-mongering around kids, which also sounds familiar because the left just did that in their own way. The thing is just because the other side did it doesn't justify you doing it in reverse. The point to end a cycle of retribution is for both sides to, you know, stop. Ta-da! I mean, that's all it is. Trying to swing the hobby in some radical right-wing direction is not going to lead to any, like, long-term gains. It'll be heavily resisted. And as I said, it will remind people of my generation and slightly younger and slightly older of why all that shit turned us off back in the day. And it's just a microcosm of a greater trend that might be emerging across entertainment as a whole. And since entertainment is our primary vessel of propaganda that we all consume voluntarily, no bread and no circus make Jack a dull boy and all that. But if this is the trend line, it will just justify the degenerate behavior of the next time the seesaw swings back. I don't want to have just barely emerged from this weird psycho left-wing puritanism that was going on for the last 10 years, where everyone's got to mind their words and, avoid acknowledging the male gaze or anything like that. Oh, speaking of which, be sure to check out Amazon Time Barbarians and Escape from Planet Matriarchy, 2 games that feature the male gaze as a rules mechanic.
We'll be right back after these messages from our sponsors.
In the distant future of 1999, Amazon Time Barbarians fight to liberate the women of North America against vast armies of trolls and chads under the control of the Rogan Joe. This original tabletop role-playing game is thick with 2 C's. Available now on Amazon.com and DriveThru RPG.
We now return to our program in progress.
Where it's bad to admire a chick's body. Oh no. And now we're going to turn right back around and go with, right-wing puritanism that we already said no to? Really? I don't know. It's the sort of thing that, as a cultural trend, could very much end up leading to 2026 not going so well for the Republican Party. Because, as I said, we've rejected this once before. Wanting a return to some sort of sense of stability, normalcy is all well and good. But it doesn't mean we want to go back to a past that nobody liked, nor to throw away all the legitimate progress that has been made culturally. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Always be wary of overcorrecting. But seriously though, if you're out there trying to front like the Satanic Panic wasn't real, or that D&D is some sort of inherently Christian project, you can go fucking fuck yourselves and stay waspinated.
Rectus Dominus, Rectus Dominus, Rectus Dominus, Rectus Dominus, Satanus, Panicus. Scary Gygax, scary Gygax, scary Gygax, scary Gygax. Scary Gygax, scary Gygax, scary Gygax, scary Gygax. Kill John Lennon. Kill John Lennon. Kill John Lennon. Worship Satan. Rectus Dominus. Totalus. Partyhus. Skillsus. Subscribus. Watchus, Bius.
There was a time, I'm fairly certain of, once long ago, where Tolkien's stuff was probably regarded as terribly satanic and a danger to children to read. But then at some point, Christians decided to embrace it and make a big deal out of Tolkien's personal Christianity and start dissecting the books in seminary schools to try to, mine as much Christian meaning as they can out of it. Ironically, have not the social justice warriors done the same with Tolkien in recent years? 2 halves of the same cow. They both go moo. It's all they know what to do. Aren't we tired of being led around by cows? Being trapped going at the speed of the slowest member of the herd,